All right, this morning for the first time, NATO leaders are calling China a decisive enabler of Russia's war in Ukraine. This declaration came with a not so thinly veiled threat of repercussions. With us now, former U.S. Ambassador to NATO, Ivo Daalder. Thanks so much for being with us, Ambassador. How important is this statement? Why do you think they're making it now?
Well, because the Chinese are helping the Russians to build up its defense industry. Russia is engaged and has changed its economy into a war economy, and that is fundamentally enabled by the Chinese, who are providing everything short of fully made weapons to allow Russia to continue to fight this war. In that regard, China has become not just an enabler, I would say a participant in this direct confrontation, which is in direct violation of international law, which is in direct violation of every norm and custom that China seems to talk about and uphold. And therefore, it's just appropriate to say, we see you, and we're going to do something about it if you don't stop.
So let me put a picture up here on the wall here. That's why I'm here. You can see Vladimir Putin and President Xi meeting. They had this summit, some 2 years ago. Very close relationship, they declared. NATO has said there will be repercussions. What can NATO do about this?
Well, the most obvious thing it can do, and the United States has already done this, is to put sanctions on those businesses that are directly engaged in helping the Russians. If other NATO countries were to do the same, or in the case of most Europeans, the European Union were to do the same, that will have a significant impact on their ability to be part of the more global market. You can go further and actually put sanctions on banks and that are enabling these companies to continue to do this, and basically say you can't be part of the dollar financial system. So there are means economically to really pressure the Chinese to say, there are costs here that are going to cost you dearly, and you better rethink the extent of which you want to continue to support this war.
Obviously, in political spheres today, everyone has their eyes on President Biden. He holds a news conference today at the end of this NATO summit. Very important for the U.S. campaign. How are the other NATO leaders looking at that news conference? Will they be watching in the same way?
No, they won't be watching in the same way, because they don't have a direct view on the elections, other than the fact that the question of whether Joe Biden runs raises the issue of who's going to be the next president. And they do have a really big stake in that, because if one thing is clear, is that Donald Trump's view of NATO, which was just stated a couple of days ago in his rally in Doral, Florida, Doral Gables, in which he once again repeated that those nations that are, quote, delinquent, which no nation is, by the way, he would not defend them against the Russian attack. So they are concerned about who is going to lead the United States. Is it going to be Joe Biden or another person who believes in NATO, or is it going to be a return to Donald Trump, who threatened to leave NATO in his last major summit?
Certainly hanging over this entire meeting over the course of this week. Ambassador Ivo Daalder, always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Sarah?
All right, ahead.